Um, okay, we're good. It's so funny how she says that. But I started 5 years ago or 5.5 years ago when my son was in and out of the ICU for his asthma. And at the time, I was in a really, really abusive relationship. So, with that being said, I was the one spending the hospital visits. I was literally working 3 jobs. I was working as a private chef, I was working as a kitchen manager, and I was also working at the private chef's little side business that they had for shaved ice, believe it or not. But I went to school for culinary school, and I was just like done. Like every day I was working closing shift in the kitchen. And when I wasn't working in the kitchen at the restaurant, I was working for the family as a private chef. So I was around the clock, always working. My enroller is actually Savannah Sparks. She's my best friend, but we'll get to that. There was a time when Cage, my son, was in the ICU, and it was around Christmas time. Actually, it was Christmas Eve. And I was just like, wow, what am I doing? And the restaurant was actually giving me a hard time for not being there because I was the kitchen manager. I was what kept the restaurant going. And it was nonstop. I always felt like I was like working my butt off. My mom would bring my son to me at the restaurant when we closed at 2 a.m, give me my son for a couple hours to take him to daycare so that I could be at that private chef job at 6 a.m. and have that family a fresh cooked meal every day. So my mom's a saint, but that was our life. And then after I would do that, in those little couple hours that I got to be with my son, I would come home to an abusive drunk. And I needed a way out. I really did. And I'm not going to cry, but Savannah had joined a couple months prior. And I don't know if you guys know Savannah Sparks, but we were always best friends. But when she told me about this opportunity, I was like, oh God, girl, you're crazy. There's no way I'm doing whatever you're doing because it's probably a dumb idea. And you're probably getting scammed, and I don't have $100. So quit asking me. I love you, but just stop. And so it was that night that I was sitting in that hospital, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. What's the worst that could happen? And I actually hid this extra $100 that I had made in tips at the restaurant and did not tell my fiance at the time about the money that I had, because I'm like, my plan is to leave him anyways, like I just need a plan. So I did, and I joined, and I worked my last shift, New Year's Eve. I'm sorry. We finally got released from the hospital New Year's Day, and the restaurant wanted me to be in there to work that evening. And so I went to work and I busted my butt like I always do. But guess what? All of the other people working there were partying like the guests in the restaurant. So I was there to pick up all the slack. And I walked out that night. I was like, I will never work like this again, ever. I just felt like, oh, so hurt. So I walked out from that restaurant, and Savannah, I called her and I cried, and I'm like, what do I do? Like I'm stuck. And she's like, listen, all we need to do is get you to go diamond and you can run away. And I didn't know what that meant. I barely just started, but it took me, let's see, I think I did join November 2015. And I went diamond by that first in-person conference for me in March or February. And I held that rank for a month and a half, and I ran away 2 hours away, and actually ended up, I'll fast forward a little bit, but I ended up marrying my best friend from college. And that's where I ran away to. At the time when I called him and I was like, I'm running. I have a way out now, and I need a place to stay. let me stay with you. And so we did. Anyways, we were probably always in love and it never left, but we ended up getting married, and he was there for me, but so is the business. This business has totally changed my life, like 360. I quit. I worked full time from home, and to say it's been a blessing is an understatement. But when I think this is my part of the story where it hits Amanda, when my daughter was born with my now husband, she was born with a brachial plexus injury. And not to get into too much detail, it's basically when you're giving birth and the doctor forcefully pulls your baby out wrong, and it tears all of these nerves. She was born and couldn't move her arm. And so, I mean, as you grow in this business, your why always kind of changes, you know? So it started with my son, and I needed a way out. And then it went to my daughter, and I knew that I was here for life. Excuse me. But so she was born, and I knew that it was going to be something really serious. The doctor came in and said, you know, they actually didn't even tell me what she had. They just said that her arm needs x-rays. So I didn't know until we were discharged that she had Erb's palsy. And I actually didn't even know how it was caused. I just remember giving birth, and they were saying, they're going to pull her head off. They're going to pull her head off, you know? And I looked at my friend that was in there when I was giving birth, and she's like, you better get this baby out on the next push. Not too much detail, guys, but it was really the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And looking at my baby girl, I was like, okay. And I had hit double diamond by then, but I sat there because I didn't know how much depression I had actually gotten by every bit of change in my life that I had gone through. And so when that happened, I just knew that I needed more. I needed to do more. I needed to be there for my daughter. I needed an income that I couldn't look back and be like, maybe I do need to go get another job. You know, maybe this isn't enough. And so Callie, my daughter, she's 2 now, but she has extensive therapy 3 times a week, 2 hours away. And without this business, I would have never been able to do this for her. If you looked at her today, she's had a full nerve graft surgery, and I was able to be there for her through all of that. Every physical therapy appointment she's ever had, I've always been there. And I talked to other moms with babies with Erb's palsy, and it breaks my heart because a lot of them say, you know, I can't even get them to physical therapy. How am I ever going to help them? You know, I have to work. I have to do this. And I just want to be like, here, the opportunity is right here, you know, and I do, but it's so hard to see people struggling. So I just know every day that like my mission is to get other women out there or other family that are going through this to have a way and have an answer. And so that's a little bit of my story. Sorry, man, I just like,
No, I love it. And I think so many people needed to hear that they're not alone in it, and that everybody's story can impact so many different people. Because I know that there's so many stories on this team, and people think that they don't have a story and that it doesn't matter. And so I think that they needed to hear all of it. And I love your story. And you're right, that is the part that hits home. Because for me, I would have never been able to sit for weeks on end at the hospital if it weren't for this business, because I was the sole provider. And so like it does hit home. And so once you make the decision to run, what does that look like? We hear all of the time, I just decided that that's what I was going to do and I did it. But I think a lot of people then never hear the aftermath of that. Like, what does that look like? Once you decide that you're going to do it, we just hear, well, I just did it. But what does that look like for you? What did it look like once you decided you were going to do it?
Right. So like I said, in the last thing, how I said, I kind of like paused because I've been in the business now 5.5 years, and I went triple diamond this last March. So there's a gap there. Okay. During that time was really my mindset. My mindset was totally off Savannah would reach out to me, and we're best friends. So it was hard to have that conversation. But when you have that conversation and she reminds you of your why, and it's constant, okay, now we need to get to work, but first we need to fix your mindset, because she just knew right away that something was off. We turned on 10X by Grant Cardone, and I listened to it every day on repeat, and I got my mind right, and I rallied my troops. I got my team together. Everybody was on the same page of what we needed to do. And what I mean by what we needed to do is everybody was working. Everybody was, even the ones that weren't working, we were working for them. Got our host a post up, got our non-negotiables done every single day, early mornings, late nights. You make the decision and you sacrifice some time that would be a normal time of not promoting. And I just switched my gears. I know that there's no alternative. I think that, and I should say too, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona with a very well-off family. But when I ran to San Simon to start my life over, they don't live like I was living in Tucson. They live on the bare minimum. And I learned to live like that. So that's where I kind of slowed down, because I'm like, wait, I can live just fine and happy with less. Why do I need more? So Savannah's like, you have a broke girl mindset right now. We need to switch that. You do need more. You can dream for more. And that's when I started getting on the personal development. And just saying that you're doing personal development and actually doing it are two totally different things. So I think that the personal development for me, and just knowing that I was worth more and then putting in the work to show for it, is what made the difference.
Okay, so for personal development, besides the 10X rule, what are your two favorite books?
Winning the War in Your Mind. And oh gosh, it's by Craig Goshaw or something, but you'll find it's on Audible. And then Thrive by Nicole Crank, or I Will Thrive. That's what it's called. Because she has a lot of what relates to me with the abusiveness in her past. So I clicked right away with that.
That's one I haven't heard of, so I'll have to look into that one. Okay. And so I absolutely love that. And another thing that we wanted to talk about is having your friends in this business with you. So you heard her say that her best friend enrolled her. And I know on this team that we have a lot of people who have either friends or family members that they've enrolled. And so I kind of wanted her to talk about how you keep business and friendship alive and going, and you separate the two, because it's a hard battle.
Yes. Okay. So this is one of my biggest struggles in the entire business, I should say. Savannah and I have been best friends for 15 years now. And at first it was the pat on the back, she wasn't really pushing me too hard until she knew that I needed it more than anything. And through my dark days, I say, of my depression, it was a little bit different on how we handled things. But when I started from double to triple, the conversations obviously are different. If I'm not enrolling or if I'm not doing my personal development, she knows, and I know, and I feel like I'm letting her down, not only myself, but I'm letting my best friend down, because she can see all of my charts. I can't see all of her charts. So when those numbers aren't coming through, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm letting her down, I'm letting myself down. And then she just says, stop. You aren't letting me down. You are letting yourself down, and you're letting your team down. So I think that knowing that you're, obviously when you sign somebody, and I'm a squirrel, so my brain's like this, but I'll get to all of it. But when you sign somebody, you hope the best for them and that they're just going to be this BA runner, and you're not going to have to fill that 400 box for them. But at the end of the day, it does not matter who is on your chart as the name. It's the box that needs to be filled for that promotion. So separating that is huge. I personally, for my triple, I have my future sister-in-law. She does not work. And it's like, I see the vision. I want her to pick it up and run so that she can have the pocketbook that I was blessed with by working, and all it takes is that little bit of effort every day for me to see, to be like, okay, I'm running with the right person. I'm running with the right person. And it's family or best friends. So Savannah gets on the phone with me when things start like dying down like this, and not just by me, because if I'm doing it, my whole team is doing it. If I'm enrolling, my whole team is enrolling. So Savannah will have these phone calls with me, and yeah, they're pretty harsh, but at the end of the day, this is Savannah's business. She enrolled me. I have to, it's like your boss, you could be best friends with your boss at work. And if you're totally slacking, you're going to expect to talk, but separating it and having that conversation with your best friend, like, look, at the end of the day, this is my business and I need you to do A, B, and C. And if you're not willing to do A, B, and C, then just know that I have to move on over here and not let you go necessarily, but I need to run with the people running, is kind of how our conversations go. So, I mean, it is a business at the end of the day, and the hard conversations will happen. It's just the learning to separate it and not letting it eat you up, because Savannah knows right when she calls me, I'm like, oh, don't do it. It's the first of the month. Like, please. I'll lose my mindset for a week when we have these conversations. So I really have to be on top of my personal development. And we also have that very like firm friendship conversation and business conversation.
I love that. All right. And so I also want to open it up to anybody else who had any questions for her, because this is your guys' call. This is for you to ask questions. And if you don't ask, you can't get answers. And I can't read your mind. I haven't perfected that just yet. I'm working on it. And remember, there's no dumb question, just the one that's not asked.
I have a question for her, Mandy.
Go ahead, Tisha.
When you get to a time where you just lose your fire, how do you get it back?
So I would definitely say re-rallying with your team. I think, with us not being able to go face-to-face with conferences anymore, and I don't know how long you've been in the business, but conference to me is like my fuel. And every year, you're like, we're going to conference, we're promoting, like promotions are coming. And I just get so excited, and you're with your girlfriends and you're with everybody. But if you can't do that with your local team, or if maybe you don't have a team, and when I say team, that means one person, but obviously these Zooms are awesome. And it's really just that for me, I'm a party girl. I like everybody. Like, I'm at our retreat right now, and well, I shouldn't say my retreat. It's one of my sideline sisters that invited me, but these fuel my fire. Getting everybody back together and talking about our goals, and not just talking about it, but putting it back into work and seeing the results for it, and not just speaking it. But to me, it's getting everybody back together, and personal development.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Who else has questions?
I do.
Go for it.
Sorry, it's hard. So fighting through the story part. So when you have, and you've had those negative moments come in that just make you want to say, no, I'm done. Besides what's going on in your life that makes you want to keep going, what makes you keep going?
I'm sorry you're having a hard time. So to me, it's my girls, my team, everybody around me. I feel like at times in the business, I can, like I said, I can live with nothing, We actually have been living in a 1-bedroom house for the last 5 years since I ran from my ex, and I have 2 kids now, and 4 people living in a 1-bedroom house. You learn how to live with nothing really quick, but we did just buy a new house. But anyways, to me, it's dreaming more, knowing that you're worth more and not just settling. I look at my kids every day and I'm like, man, I want to take them to Disneyland. I want them to go back to school this summer and be like, my parents took me to Disneyland and we had the best summer ever. And little things like that. My kids have still never been to Disneyland, but by God, they are going this summer, because I said to myself, when I go triple, those kids are going to see Mickey Mouse. Like, I don't care if we got to wear masks, they're going to see Mickey Mouse. And I look at Savannah, she's an ambassador diamond, and they do like extravagant things, but to me, it's not the money. We could go have a barbecue and have the best time ever. But just seeing my family's face light up when we're not standing in the grocery line, checking our bank account, and just knowing like, we got this. We went to the lake last weekend and honestly had the worst trip you could ever imagine to go wrong. I was driving down the road and my spare tire broke off, went underneath my boat and flew 50 feet up in the air, and God was on my shoulders because my husband and daughter were driving right behind us. That was God being like, wow, you have leaned into God. And I can tell you right now, before this business, I didn't really even believe in God, because I was like, there's no way with the way my life is going that there even is a God. But this business has brought me closer to God. I pray about it and it's amazing. But just seeing Mark and Cindy and the way that they are towards everybody in this company, they're good people. They're, knowing that you're in the right place is everything to me. I go to these conferences and Cindy's praying over everybody's chair. You go and meet them in person and they genuinely care about you. So to me, when I feel like I'm quitting, I remind myself I'm in the right place. Like, there's time and time before that it's already been shown to me. Remember your why. Remember why you started, remember what finally made you say yes to your enroller. Every day, write it down.
I love that. I have a couple more questions but I want to open it up to you guys and let you ask the questions that you have. So anybody else have any questions? Okay, so what does your day-to-day look like? Like, what do you do on a daily basis? Like your non-negotiables?
Okay, so every morning we have, it's a power hour, but it's also, we're personal development. We listen to our personal development, and it's an hour long of getting all of our hat messages out, following up, your 90 days to diamond list, if you guys have something similar. But we're listening to that and also getting some work done. And so that's from 6:30 to 7:30. And I wake up at about 5:30 because I need that coffee, because I really want to fuel what we're listening to. And every week it's a new book, sometimes 2 new books. But so we start with personal development, super important. And then right after that, we have what's called a Power 30. And if you guys don't know, Savannah's enroller is Christy Christensen. She's the number 2 income earner. So we're learning from her, but we pop on a Power 30 with her. And all we're doing for those 30 minutes is just sending messages. So we started our day, we probably got our first post up. We're sending a couple hat messages. And then, you're making your story with your coffee. And then for that 30 minutes straight from 7:30 to 8, all we're doing is sending hat messages, not responding, just sending. And once that 30 minutes is over, we go back and then we have that work to follow through our day. So then after that Power 30, I set my phone down, make my kids breakfast. I get either, if the kids are in school, I send my son off to school. I get my daughter situated. And then I get back to those messages. I'm not on my phone right when they're like, yes, I'll put up a post for you. I don't talk to them. I set it down and I keep sending those through those 30 minutes. So what's really important is getting your kids figured out, getting the house figured out, getting everything situated so that you're not like scrambling, texting these people back when your kid needs to be on the bus to go to school. So you set your phone down, get your morning routine done, and then I'll come back to me, finish my coffee, but by God, it's probably already gone and I'm ready to make another one. And then honestly, it's just responding back to these people, and that trickles through to my lunchtime. Lunchtime, pick it back up, send another half wave out, and probably about 200 messages a day for just haps is what it looks like. And I maybe have 40 respond on a good day. So then I go and I filter through my Facebook, clean up my Facebook, make new content. I'll go in I try to do every week. We'll do like a photo shoot or something so that you have new content to make or send and post. But then when Cage comes home from school, phone's down. It's his time. I want to know how my son's day was. I want to know everything, and so we get him situated, and I'm probably giving you guys like the full rundown, but I'm like trying to think it through my head. So what I'm trying to say is what's really important is to show your family that you're not always on your phone, that this business is a work when you can, like through the nooks and crannies, you know what I mean? It's not that you need to constantly, because the last thing I want to hear is my son being like, oh, let me guess what I did at school today. Hold on, buddy. Make it a point. And me and my husband were actually talking to a therapist one time, and they said, when he comes home, phone's down. Because what's the worst feeling is when your husband comes home and he's on his phone and you're like, hi, because you're a stay-at-home mom maybe. And all you want to do is hear like a human talking to you other than a 2-year-old or however, I'm like, hi, Conrad, how was your day? Let's talk. My day was great. I talked to me and the kids, and I just really want an adult conversation right now. So give your husband, your boyfriend, your kids their time. And it could honestly be 5 minutes. That's all they wanted your attention for. And then put back into the work. So we have the morning power hours and the night, but I'm going to tell you, not every time am I on both, because I want that family time. I don't personally take a full Sabbath, but there's times where I'm like, okay, I need to put my phone away for an hour. Let's go for a drive. Let's go up the mountain. So I just don't think that the business should be constant. You need to be able to step away for a second. Like right now, I'm stepping away, but I'm also, I'm on this training with you guys, and my girls are outside in the pool. But to me, this is like a blessing. But I know that when this is done, I have some messages to get back to, and I'm going to respond back to them. And then I'm going to hop my butt in that pool, and I'm going to enjoy myself.
I absolutely love that. And I know that there's a lot of people who needed to hear that it's okay to put their phone down. And for a while, I know that I was one of them that thought every time that my phone dinged, I had to pick it up. And it's not the case. Nobody's telling you that you have to pick your phone up every time that it goes off. And you actually shouldn't.
Yes. And I should bounce back to that too. I try to make like it pretty clear to my team when I am most available and when it's hard to be available, putting up those like guidelines to my team and having those boundaries. So, because we're all on different time zones. So if you have somebody that's, on the East Coast or however, I'm from Arizona. So when it's super late at night for me, it's in the middle of the night for them. But in early morning for me, they've already been up for a couple hours. So when they're shooting me these messages at 5 a.m., I'm like, girl, I haven't had my coffee yet. So making sure that everybody knows, because not everybody that signs with you knows where you live and knows the time zone difference. So I tell them, hey, I'm in Arizona and I'm available on our time from this to this. This is the best time to reach me if you really have a question that you can't find out through the resources. So setting those boundaries is super important.
Yes, most definitely. So, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for her before we let her go so that she can go hang out in the pool? Because honestly, like you guys, she took time out of their little retreat to hang out with us, which is honestly a blessing because she doesn't have to pour into us. I'm grateful that she did, but she doesn't have to. And so make sure that you say thank you, that somebody took pictures because I didn't. So I hope somebody grabbed some. I hope Kayla did. She's pretty good at recording me and posting the worst moments on our chat. Thanks, babe. But like you guys, make sure you say thank you. And if you have any more questions, this is your last chance to ask them. Someone's unmuted. Did you have a question? I don't see you though. No? Hey, all right, Ashley, you're gonna do a recap. If you want to hop off and send messages, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me anytime. Bye, guys.
All right, guys, so I want to know what's your biggest takeaways from tonight? In case you didn't realize, I hijacked the call and told Tamika she wasn't allowed to get on.
Mine was the boundaries thing and to put down your phone.
Yeah. Do you guys know that when you answer your phone every single time that it dings, it actually creates anxiety?
That does not surprise me because I get anxiety when my phone ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, no, I'm not answering that stupid thing. I'm tired of answering it. But the one thing that really stuck out to me was that, you know, just, and I've heard it a million times, but, you know, basically, you know, just do it in your own time. Take time to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, she never once said, don't do the work. Like you still have to do the work, but you get to do it in the nooks and crannies of your day that's convenient around your family. But she was very intentional with the work that she did and when she did it. She spends 30 minutes sending out host to post messages. Did anybody catch that? 30 minutes just sending out the messages without responding. How many people on this call can say that they send out 30 minutes of messages? I can. I send 40 minutes. I do 10-minute increments 4 times a day, but like that's a lot of messages.
I wrote that down because I was like, whoa, that's great.
Now be smart in how you're sending them and don't copy paste them because then you get put in Messenger timeout. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I see Tammy M has her hand up and then Cherokee. If you guys want to go, I'm gonna read through the chat for a minute.
Yeah, what I liked most was and I just had this conversation with Marlene, was, you know, the fact that, you know, staying consistent, but allowing yourself grace in a sense. Like she said, like, you know, she wants to get some 2 power hours a day. But, you know, like there is flexibility in your schedule. We have so many power hours. Like if you don't make the one that you always go to, that there's so many, and like just stay committed and stay in it and allow that flexibility and giving yourself grace that, you know, things might come up, but like staying true to that. I mean, we've heard it so many times before, but I don't know why it just resonated differently with me today.
And that's the thing, you guys, the reason that we invite different people to come on and allow other people to pour into our team is because I may say it, Tamika may say it, Kelly Jo may say it, Marlene may say it, but the second that somebody else comes on and says that exact same thing to you, you're going to hear it differently from somebody else. And it may be her story. It may be the way that she said it. It may be her voice. It just may be the vibration she's putting out. It doesn't matter. But the fact is that you heard it and it resonated with you today so that you can do something with it now. And that's the next thing is like, you've heard it. And so now what are you going to do with it? Because it's one thing to hear something but what are you going to do with it from there? Cherokee, go ahead, hon, if you want to unmute and share. You have your hand raised.
You hear me or not?
Yep.
But
some of the things that kind of confuse me is I'm one of those people that kind of get anxious and get nervous. So I'm fairly new to all this. And I'm trying to understand some of the posting and how to do like the message and host to post and all that. Like I've got the good morning post down and the good night post, but it's trying to send out the messages. And then on top of that, I had a customer, she literally agreed to the 90-day challenge and then just started telling me that if she got her card charged, her card, if she got it charged again, that I would literally have to reimburse her for it being charged. So it's just been one of those
Who's your enroller?
things. She really got me really depressed, and it's been hard for me to figure out now what am I going to do because I lost a customer.
So it happens to all of us, but who's your enroller?
My mediator is Leilani.
Okay, so I'll have you reach out to Leilani and she'll be able to help you walk through all of that, okay? She'll be able to help walk through that, the customer service and stuff with you.
Okay, the customer or the client, I should say, that I had, I guess she was able to get a hold of the customer service or whatever. And she was really rude afterward, but she's just like, I'm not going to be recommending you to anybody. And I said, well, one thing you did forget was you were highly drunk when you said you wanted the product.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily my fault.
Right. And we all have difficult customers, and it's just what you do with it when at the end of the day. Like we've all had our fair share, and it's how you get to decide how you react and how you respond to it, because nobody gets to choose that for you. I had a question I read too, and I forgot now.
And it doesn't help either with my depression too. Like she really set my depression into a deep low as well, because I was just like, I thought I had a good thing going with her and everything, and then she went and kind of just dumped me out of nowhere.
So that's when you get to choose who you allow in your circle, and you get to choose who you allow and how you allow people to make you feel. That's a choice you get to have. And so like that one's up to you. But if you reach out to Leilani, she'll help you with posting and messaging and stuff. And Samara, I'm reading your stuff in the chat. It says you have to have time for your family and time for your business. I'm going to have to get up before Evelyn to get my work done and make sure she has time too. I can be a boss mom and make sure she has intentional time. You sure can. Are you still doing morning power hours?
So my concept thought is like a meal on Southern breakfast.
Dish, are you unmuted? You're frozen.
Oh, am I? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to respond a little bit to Cherokee that Leilani has been through that with customers.
So
Copy and paste her.
let's do that one off of the team call. Like that's not something for a team call, you guys.
Okay.
Smart, are you still doing morning power hours, like super early morning power hours?
Like, am I leading them? I'm not leading them, but I am still getting up early. And when Evelyn was sick, and so I was up at the time of Merlane's, and so I got on Merlane's one morning.
Oh yeah, no, I cannot do Marlene's. Marlene's are like 3:30 my time.
Yeah, and that's 2:30 my time. That's insane.
I love you, Marlene, but that is like 3:30 a.m.
2:30 for me, so yeah.
It's my only time that I truly get work done is at that time.
Oh, I get it. Our time zones just don't mesh. Otherwise, I totally would be on for you. Okay, I want to hear a couple more takeaways. We got 10 more minutes. So I want to hear, what are you guys going to do? So I haven't heard from anyone on my team yet. I'll unmute y'all. Get the food out of your mouth.
I liked how she had the schedule and putting the phone down.
I love that.
I got a huge takeaway with working with your best friend. I actually signed my best friend, and we're pretty close. So I think it's gonna work. But that really hit with me just listening to her, and so.
Yes. And you guys, like, that was something, because she messaged me and I had no idea that she signed with her. Like, I kind of grasped that at first, but she messaged me this afternoon and she goes, do you have any team members who have best friends that they've signed, or family members? And I was like, yeah, I signed my best friend and it ruined our relationship. And she's like, is there anyone else on the team that could use to hear how to work the business with friends and family? I was like, absolutely. And so that was a divine intervention of somebody saying, hey, somebody needs to hear this, because she just messaged me out of the blue and asked, is it something that I can talk about? And I was like, please, like, share whatever is on your heart to share.
And I had no idea that was going to be talked about. And so, I made sure that my Lisa, that she was on tonight, and she did. And so I was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, so.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So I love it. Because honestly, you guys, like, I told my team, don't sign your best friends. And for being 100% honest, I told my team, don't bring your best friend into the business. Because we have seen it ruin friendships. And so, like, that gave hope that you can have a business and a friendship if you do it the right way. So.
If both parties do it the right way.
Right.
The thing that I took out of it was that when she said that little retreats were needed to bring your teams closer together and light the fire.
Yeah. And to stay close to the fire, which means showing up to the Zoom calls, showing up to the morning calls, showing up to the power hours, getting together with your team if that's something you're comfortable with. I know some people still aren't comfortable with being in person. And if you're not, okay, but do other things that you can light fire. And if you're in a good spot, and this is something that I took from Cami when she did our retreat, if you're in a good spot, okay, awesome, then that get together needs you. And if you're not, you need that get together. And so even if you're in a good place, you still need that retreat, because somebody needs your fire. And so if you're in a good spot, then you need to go anyway, because you never know whose fire you're going to be lighting. And just because people act like they're in a good place doesn't necessarily mean that they're really in a good place. Caitlin, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, one of the takeaways that I got is I have to realize that not personally exactly for me, but for many people, that they have a life and they go through things that you don't know about, and you can still work this business, but sometimes they just choose not to.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you take the name off of the chart and it's still your box to fill. And you take the emotion out of it. Like, that's one of the things that she said that hit home. Like, at the end of the day, there's not a name on that. You take the emotion out and you fill it. We're not saying that you replace the people and you take the emotion away from the people, because those are still people and you treat them like people and you love them through it. But at the end of the day, it is your job to fill that box. It is your promotion. You still love the people wholeheartedly. And sometimes people just need space. Sometimes people just need love. And sometimes people just need a friend. And not to fill a 400 box.
And sometimes people just need friends that have become family, who have reminded them that they are worth something.
Because you are. All right, that's what I had for you. Hey, you guys, I kept it under an hour. Are you proud of me? I did a good job. And there was no F-bombs in the music.
Very good job. I'm very proud of you.
I don't know if, what, Marlene? I don't know what kind of recap or team things we were supposed to go over. I told her she wasn't allowed to get on and we would handle it. So Marlene, is there anything important we should go over?
No, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Awesome job.
All right, you guys, but I do, so I'm not going to speak for everybody else's team, but I know for at least my team, I have seen a decline in the amount of people who are showing up to power hours, who are showing up in general. I know that it's summer, okay? This is my 3rd summer in the business, but I'm going to tell you, if you want to have a successful summer, your workbook is a phenomenal thing to have. If you don't have one, get a piece of paper. You don't have to have a workbook, but you have to have something to track your progress, because it may feel like you're working all day. I get up and do a power hour every morning with my team at 7 o'clock. There's 4 of us that get on. And we get our work done, but people haven't been showing up as much as they used to. But if you really want to have a successful summer, you get up and you do the work first thing in the morning before the day goes crazy, before your kids want all of the attention, before the pool floods your backyard, like whatever. And then you go about your day. You want to sign the customers, then you do the things every single day. Okay. It has to happen consistently every single day. And so that means showing up every single day. People want to see that you're still doing this, even though it's summer. You can't expect to go MIA all summer and then come this winter, do it, and people are going to buy from you. No, they're going to buy from the person who still showed up all summer long. And so make sure you're still showing up wherever that looks like for you. It can be the night power hour. Like you might start seeing me pop on the night ones because now all of a sudden my body wants to be up at 9 o'clock at night and doesn't want to be up in the morning, but I'll still be on my morning ones because I host them. It's fine. I'll still be there. But you've got to show up and do the work, not just mindlessly scrolling all day. But you can put your phone away all day long. If you do the work in the morning, you do the work at night. Okay, but you've got to show up. And the message that you're sending to your team, if you don't show up, is they don't have to. And so if the leader doesn't show up, neither does the team. And if the leader doesn't enroll, neither does the team. And then what do you have left at the end of the summer? You get to start all over, and it's not fun. And summer doesn't have to be slow. I'm going to tell you that I bring in the most volume and I promote over the summer. When people say that those are the hardest, slowest months of summer, I say, sell some hydrate, sell some bread, sell some collagen, and eat the gummies. You can make really good hydrating slushies and sell the crap out of them. Okay, so it's whatever you choose it to be. But that's all I have for you guys. It's still before 8 o'clock. I love you. Even if you show up on the wrong call. Did you show up on the wrong call, Amanda? Oh yeah, when you interrupted my call. Yes. All right, love you guys.